Well, welcome back everybody to the Formula Fun podcast, and this is our roundup of the French Grand Prix 2018. I'm joined as always by Rage himself. How are you doing this week, my friend?
Bonjour.
Oh,
I'm
no.
fantastic.
No, let's not make this a thing. Regional accents of the Grand Prix.
Oh, well, what can I say? It's a wonderful Grand Prix.
Thank God we don't go to India anymore.
The French, they came out in a forest. We bon.
There's many Frenchmen.
Many Frenchmen.
So, yeah, it was the first France French Grand Prix
8 years?
since 2008. That makes it 10 years. But,
10 years.
Nice quick maths.
A little bit of quick math.
Yeah. And it was nice to be back in France, especially with so many French drivers on the grid. There's quite a lot to say about the circuit in either direction, I think, plus and minus.
Yep.
But we'll start as always with our roundup of the race then.
The race?
Well, yeah, the events of the weekend. The proceedings.
Okay.
Let's get into proceedings of...
FP1, FP2, FP3.
No.
Some went faster, some didn't. Some went faster than others, some not at all.
Yeah.
Some hit the barrier, didn't realise they were on fire, have to get out, and then thought, fuck, I'm on fire, and got out really quick.
Got out quicker than they had previously decided to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's FP1, FP2, and FP3 all rolled into a tight little package and shoved down your ear hole.
Great. I mean, it's very passive aggressive, but sure.
It
Why
works.
not? Well, I think we'll have to find out about that. But yeah, it was looked like Mercedes made a step. Red Bull and Ferrari very close all the way through practice. Who was it that had the fiery spin? Was it
Ericsson.
Ericsson. Okay.
Oh, so wonderful Swede.
Yes, you are.
Who I put in the highest of regard, as you know, Jamie.
You are such a fan of Marcus Ericsson. You
That's
really
right.
are. That's what I always say
Insect in my
about Rage. He's
I'm
him
such
and
a
Marcus
fan.
Ericsson. They're like that. Yeah.
Can you imagine if, for whatever reason, this podcast decides to not flounder in the bottom and the dregs of YouTube and actually does go somewhere, that I actually get the chance to meet Marcus Ericsson? Can you imagine the awkwardness in the room?
He'll probably be dead
Hello.
before that happens.
Hello, Mr. Ericsson.
I mean,
I've spoken very highly of you before, as I have much of Sweden. Hello, welcome to the Formula Fun podcast. Take a seat.
with me, Rage and Marcus Ericsson for 1 week only. Yeah, let's see how
we
that
need to get
goes.
that. We need to set that petition up to. Get
We
that
can say we
started.
need to set that up like that's a thing we can do.
We need to set that up.
Yeah,
We'll
next
get our
guest,
people
Marcus
to his
Ericsson,
people.
Formula One driver. And
Next week we have Pierre Gasly, followed by Marcus Ericsson. They wanted to come on. We had to go. Hey, simmer down. There's a list. Marcus was first.
You've got to line up. Suck it, WTF1. We've got Sergei Sorokin. Just doing my job.
Was that Russian?
No.
Okay. Qualifying Q1.
It was-
What happened?
It was
Speak
something.
to me.
Q1, we lost both Williams, who really struggled, and for the first time in a long time, both McLarens out in Q3 as well.
Both oranges and both Willies just lost at sea.
Yeah, I mean, the Williams we expect, they're really struggling and not going to make... They were even further away this weekend, to be fair, and they're really starting to struggle and get left behind. Whether they just turn their attention to next year, we'll have to wait and see.
Brendan Hartley kind of lost all hope, steam.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. He
Posted a 133.
it's not looking great at time, is it? Especially in comparison to Gasly. Gasly obviously had the boost of the home crowd.
But still, almost a second faster in the other car.
I mean, 6/10's quite a long way from a second, but
Almost a second faster.
almost a second, mate.
Almost
It's
a second
0.1 of a
faster.
second, basically a second. We may as well
Pretty
round that
much
up.
of a second.
It's 10 seconds. You know what? It's a minute. Nearly a minute between the pair of them.
Quicker round.
Yeah, McLaren, we'll get on to their woes, I guess, but we can talk about a little bit in qualifying. It's really fucking dire, isn't it?
It is awful.
And not really a track that they... Well, medium speed corners are apparently where they're struggling, but that's not where you would expect them to be struggling. In this chassis that's supposed to be so good.
The amazing chassis.
All the Honda years. Yeah, it's almost as good as the Red Bull, guys. Honest.
Yeah.
It's just this shitty Honda engine.
Just this powertrain that we can't quite work out. It's the vibration, guys. It's the vibration. It's just causing havoc.
It's just the vibration. It's vibrated all the sense out of our heads. Yeah, it's not great.
Do you think they've lost their way so far now that it's almost funny?
I found it quite amusing for quite a while. To be honest, once Button left, it stopped being heartbreaking and irritating and started being funny immediately.
I don't see how, in what way, shape, or form they could think that they would be able to attract someone like Dan Ricciardo.
Yeah, that was some big news, wasn't it? Which I'm sure we'll get onto in the news section. But
they've got a little slap on the wrist there. But you know what I mean? How could someone who's performing down in 16th and 18th think that they can command a driver like that?
Yeah, and he's not a driver that's going to go somewhere for money. He's someone that wants to make one more definitive move. He's said it many times. That the next stage of his career has to be in a team that wins championships, and it's not going to be McLaren, mate.
Not McLaren.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about that being tactical in certain parts and reasons for it. I'm sure we can get onto that in the news section, but yeah, a dreadful qualifying for McLaren for what was in the end a dreadful weekend, and it meant that Marcus Ericsson got himself into Q2. Superstar. Best driver on the grid, mate. Yeah? No?
No.
Okay.
No. Shocking.
Just checking whether you miraculously changed your mind.
No, he went slower in Q2 than he did in Q1.
I mean, all the pros do that, mate.
It's all fine, mate.
It's all fine. He just dialed it back, mate. He didn't want to embarrass people.
It's all fine. Turn the engine down. It's all fine.
Pierre Gasly at his home Grand Prix in 14th. It was a pretty poor weekend for Toro Rosso, but as far as Gasly's concerned, he's doing exactly what he needs to. He continues to shine and continues to be nicely ahead of Hartley. Then Perez, Hulkenberg and Ocon make up the rest of those knocked out in Q2. Force India once again struggling a little bit here. But I feel
in the development war a little, I think.
Yeah, I feel that midfield can bounce around quite a bit though at the moment. Of sort of Haas, Renault, Force India, and Charles Leclerc, who is a midfield entity in his own right at the moment.
I know, 8th position.
Yeah, so 2 Haas's and then Charles Leclerc in 8th. Good performance from Haas once again. A lot of people, screw it. I'm getting rid of Magnussen soon in the Motorsport Manager series, so I might be losing some subscribers anyway. But he is. I hope not. Please don't leave. But him and Grosjean aren't that special, are they?
They've not turned it on this year.
And considering that they both got nicely into top 10, that is a good car that has still. And it's still showing good turn speed. So good from them, and then stunning from Leclerc.
Just otherworldly.
Yeah,
driving out of his skin. Yes, look, his Q2 time was a little faster, which.
I mean, if he'd done his Q2 time and actually, it would only put him above science. I was reading Raikkonen's wrong there.
But still, 7th, another place. There was more time to be had in that car. I don't know how, but there was.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising because he had all this hype around him, and we've known for a long time he's a really special talent. But at the same time, it's really, really surprising. Like, how quickly he's adapted and how quickly he's outperforming the car by such a great distance.
Did the Haas cars have a penalty?
I don't think so.
My times are wrong. Because I've got Charles Leclerc with a 1:32.5, and I've got a Kevin Magnussen behind him with a 1:31.5, which would have put him 5th.
That's the Q2 time. I'll wait for a minute for Rage to process that information and work out what it means.
What do you mean if that's the Q2 time?
Well, you go through on your Q2 time and then it gets wiped clean for Q3, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So his Q3 time was a 32.6 and Magnussen's was a 32.9.
Yeah, but how did he get through on the? Where was he in Q? Who was he could have been up there. He could have been further up. Yeah.
God.
Okay. Again!
There's always something every week I have to teach you about Formula
Guide
One.
me in, Smithers.
Oh my god, don't say that. Please shut up. And then Carlos Sainz, incredible job for Renault, and he seems to have renewed confidence the last few races. And he's now starting to get the better of Hülkenberg time and time again. And I was a little doubtful towards the beginning of the season as to whether Sainz,
wasn't there?
yeah, whether he was a Hülkenberg or a Perez, or whether he is something special. We'll only really know, as we do with all these guys, when they get into a proper car. But he's starting to show that brilliance again that he showed in Toro Rosso. So great performance from him, and best of the rest. Kimi Räikkönen, I mean, on a weekend, as many people pointed out, on a weekend when Leclerc excelled just shone above the rest of the field. The fact that Räikkönen had a shocker of a weekend as well. It's not great for him, is it? Not great in qualifying. Then 2 Red Bulls, Verstappen and Ricciardo, once again missing that little bit of extra qualifying pace. Verstappen getting the better of Ricciardo again. Vettel in third, got as close as he could to the Mercedes, but it was a Mercedes lockout with Hamilton at the front. And you got to say, new Mercedes engine for this weekend seems to have worked.
Yep, seems to be firing on all cylinders.
Literally banging those cylinders out.
Popping them out like nobody's business.
Bit of pop, bang, squeeze and blow. Is that the right order? No idea.
No, why not? I think it's squeeze, bang, blow. I don't know.
It's an old James May joke, that one.
It is. It's the internal workings of a combustion engine rolled into some weird little thing.
Is that the right order? It is for that. Right, let's get off talking references for now. Yeah, I think it shows to be a big qualifying step forward for that Mercedes engine. It seems to have increased their party mode even more. It'd be interesting to see if that advantage holds for the next few races. But very ominous for the team Mercedes. Your star of qualifying?
There's only one star, really. So I'm not going to say him because he's too obvious. So Carlos Sainz was my star of qualifying.
I always hate people that do that.
Oh, but Charles
Leclerc. Out of it. No, I don't want to go with the crowd. I mean, there's only one really, but I'm not going to go with him just because.
Because you're going to go for it.
I'm cool and hip, so.
You're going to go for it. There's no point. Carlos Sainz, he got the Renault where it needed to be. I'm happy with that. Home crowd and everything for the Renault. That's my star qualifying 7th position for Carlos.
Okay, yeah, mine goes to Charles Leclerc.
Obviously.
Yeah, it's just stunning again. And when you think he can't do any better, he does. He does in great quantities. So yeah, Leclerc for me again.
Right. Fabulous.
Cool. On to the race then. And once again, lap 1 was the most interesting point of the race.
By the way, before we move on, did you notice that Kimi Räikkönen fluffed his last lap again?
No, I didn't.
He fluffed his last attempt at qualifying again.
I mean, that sounds right. I mean, This is actually, to be fair, he was only a few hundredths off Vettel in Q2, so maybe
there's a clause in there. Fluff your last lap, you have to.
Not allowed.
Pay you big money.
Not allowed any chance of getting anywhere near Vettel in the first corner. Yeah, it's become a secondary meme now, isn't it? Of Räikkönen fluffing those final laps. Yeah, I mean, I hope he gets a few more good results for the end of the season and maybe somehow gets that one win before he bows out, but I hope he does bow out at the end of the season. I hope Ferrari are brave and put Leclerc in, because it would be super interesting to see Leclerc against Vettel. Right, on to the race then. Yeah, so almost in his own words, too good a start from Sebastian Vettel, up alongside Bottas. Then had nowhere to go, boxed in by Hamilton, backed off, then locked up and hit Bottas right up the trumpet.
Right in the chuff.
Right in the chuff.
Massive talking point.
Yeah, so there's a lot of buzz around this. Firstly, the mistake. Was it just a simple lock up, or was it a bit?
It was offline.
It was offline. It was a lock up, and it was a bit clumsy, wasn't it?
Yeah, very. He should have spotted the breaking point rather than trying to win into that corner. Off camber, some would say, corner offline, and going the same pace into the corner. There was only one place he was going to go. He's just lucky he didn't take out both of them. But the old Ferrari Assistants Association came to the aid of a failing Vettel and just gave him a little tap on the wrist and a 5-second time penalty, whereas poor old Bottas had to limp round with a pretty much ruined Mercedes.
He did, but by that same logic, it was a safety car, and they both ended up nose to tail at the restart. So
lots of people moaning about the level of penalty given to Vettel. However, Bottas.
Were those people mostly Max Verstappen?
Why would Max Verstappen?
You've not seen Verstappen's outburst in the press conference?
Yeah, I think Verstappen's little dig was more at people always make mistakes, and you guys are always kind of first to jump on them. You jumped on me like mad. Now it's your turn to jump on Vettel. I think he'll probably do nothing different and come and race because he's a professional. I think that was more Max's idea. I think more I'm going on what Lewis said after the race. How could somebody be penalised? For 5 seconds, and then the person who actually, over no fault of his own, was penalised far more through the damage of his car. Hey, look, it's a race and things happen. It's not like Vettel went out to damage his car. It's not like he went out to change the balance of his car because he hit him and he may have had some rear problems with the diff or anything like that. How was he meant to know that was going to happen? It was just a puncture. But yeah, it's just little things, little niggly bits with Ferrari where they might get off a little bit more than say other drivers if that was the same thing. I like DC's comment. Sorry to keep rambling, but DC's comment when it comes to penalties, is a time penalty for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or even grid penalties or anything like that really a penalty in the eyes of the championship? Fair enough, you might lose a couple of places if your car's fit by the time you get it out and after the pit stop. You come fifth, you still score good points, 10 points. Do you think, a dock of 5 points to your championship tally? Do you think that's a worthy, punishment for what he did? I don't know. I verge on the idea of the penalty system that we've got at the moment of time is just ridiculous. I think stuff needs to change.
Yeah. A lot well said there. Yeah, it can be, as always, I'll play devil's advocate, it can be argued both ways. I mean, first lap has always been shown some sort of leeway to the drivers because it is the first lap. There's a lot of things that go completely unpunished on first laps because it's the first lap. I think if that had happened later in the race, it would have been more severe.
Yeah.
And I think it's very difficult to set a set of rules that give penalties dependent on how badly the other person came out of it. Because you could say that both ways. You could say Bottas was damaged, went to the back of the grid, had to pit, was worse off, but then that might have been the right strategy and they could have finished 1 and 2, and in which case it benefited him. You can't start looking for the positives and the negatives out of everything to judge a penalty. You have to do it on the instant itself, and I think it was just clumsy from Vettel. I think he locked up a little bit. He doesn't seem to have this assertiveness. He seems to have, especially since he's gone to Ferrari, he feels like he has to put in this more aggressive driving style. He feels like he has to be a bit more punchy, and it's happened quite a few times on first laps. Baku comes to mind when he could have very easily finished first or second there, and he made the big lunge down the inside to make the big move, like we see Ricciardo and Hamilton do, and mucks it up and finish fifth or sixth. Now he's making a trend of this, but I think the incident itself was a little bit clumsy. But
what did the penalty do? In the whole realistic scheme of things, look at his time. Race time plus 1.1. Yeah, the person behind him plus 1.19. Person above him 0.34. So that's seconds, minutes. So 5 seconds to that time has done nothing. Done nothing. No, that's not a penalty in my eyes. How is 5 seconds added onto that a penalty? It's just farcical. In my opinion, I think a bigger penalty would have been, right, there was an incident, it happened at the start, let's carry on racing, and there'll be, an investigation after the race, and you'll get your penalty going forward into either the next race, which would be a penalty, a real usable penalty, like a grid place penalty, or you get a point deduction on your championship, something that really hurt you. You think, shit, I can't do that again. Shit, maybe I'll be a little bit more, thoughtful going into the first corner. I don't know. I just think certain things can be done a little bit differently when it comes to that, because that penalty, if you look at the times, it is farcical. It's stupid. What's the point of 5 seconds when he finishes, 19 seconds above the next guy and about half a minute away from the guy in front of him? What's 5 seconds gonna do? It's nuts. It's not a penalty.
Well, yeah, it was 5 seconds on his race time. He took it in the pit stop.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is that the penalty, in comparison to his race time, didn't fit the crime, because the penalty has no impact on his race.
I mean, arguably, they stopped him a second time so that they could take the penalty, so that whatever position he could finish.
Oh yeah, I get that, but I think it's
the whole incident itself has cost him 8 points.
Look, so the whole scheme of things, it actually gave us something to watch, didn't it? Really, because without Vettel going through the field, the race would have been shit.
I feel, I feel like I need to stand up for it a little bit there, because it wasn't. There was a lot of hate on him. It wasn't a malicious move. It wasn't.
Oh no, it was an accident.
It was a complete accident. Why he should get suddenly penalty docks or big penalties after the race? That's reserved for like Max Verstappen levels of stuff. Sorry.
Reserved for complete idiots.
That's reserved to spice up the after.
That's reserved for literally what happened in Baku last year when Sebastian thought we were playing bumper cars.
Yeah, I mean, that one I feel we should have had a race ban for.
Yeah,
that one should have been much more.
But again,
severe.
He's wearing red, so we'll just get a slap on the wrist. That didn't happen.
Yeah, that's
anyway, enough for the first corner incident. There was the rest of the race, I promise.
Well, yeah, we have got another first. We haven't got past my second line of notes on the first lap.
We'll carry on. There was more. The Frenchies even went at it too.
So Sebastian Vettel lost his front wing. Bottas with a big rear puncher.
Yeah.
And then we had a secondary incident. Gasly lost the cut. Well, someone had already hit Ocon. I haven't got that in here. I think
he did. Yeah, he was already hit at the beginning. I've no idea who it was. I heard him say.
I think it was Grosjean.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it was. I think all 3 French guys had incidents with each other on the opening lap. And then Gasly, whether he was slow into the corner because he could feel something on the car, or whether it was, Ocon was slow into the corner, and that's what caught Gasly out. Was my suspicion after it. The more
Gasly,
I thought on it,
he didn't go too deep. He got caught out by something.
Yeah, and I think it was Ocon.
Ocon could have gone a bit wider if he knew something's a bit wrong, rather than cut across half the track. I know it was his line, but it's the start of the race.
Yeah.
Left him nowhere to go. It was a racing incident, no penalties, was it?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I think it was an incident, because it was a bit wild from Ocon. I know Ocon felt a bit aggrieved by it, but really, what could Gasly do? Both of them out of that race, their home race, bit of a shame.
Yep. Wheel off the Ocon. Wheel off the Force India.
Wheel off the Ocon.
Wheel it off.
The second wheel incident from the old.
He had a really good time.
They had a wheel off in practice, didn't they? Cheeky little wheel off.
They did have a cheeky little wheel off.
Some went round, some faster than others, some not at all, and some with 3 wheels.
Yeah.
And some on fire.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting practice. Let's go back to practice. Analyse it. No. Yeah, so it's big incidents. Safety car out. Big winners on first corner. Sainz up to 3rd. Leclerc up to 6th.
Nuts. I was very happy.
Verstappen up to 2nd and Magnussen up to 5th. What do you think about Max just cutting straight across the outside of the curbs?
I thought that
sailing back into P2.
Yeah, it went completely unchallenged. He said at the very end of the race afterwards, when he was in, the box where they have little chats and drinks and towels and shit, that he literally just went straight across the racetrack and joined in second. It was very, very choice positioning, I guess, but he had nowhere to go. If you watch his point of view, he literally had to go that way or crash. I think he maybe was a little bit liberal with how much space he took.
To be honest, if I was driving Paul Ricard circuit, I would constantly just black out from dizziness and go off the road anyway.
Yeah,
because those curbs, Jesus Christ,
they are hideous.
We'll get to that in our review of the return of France and Paul Ricard as a track. But my God, is that confusing?
Yeah,
that track. I thought it was a bit cheeky. At the same time, I'm trying to get out the way and avoid. At the end of the day, did he really lose any places? Because I'm sure he would have probably been above Magnussen, Leclerc, and Ricciardo anyway. But yeah, it was a bit cheeky from him. So we had a long safety car period, and nothing else happened. No.
Pretty much.
I mean, it really was. There was a lot of overtaking in the race.
Into that turn 8 chicane, was it? The overtaking. Very mute overtaking.
DRZ.
DRS overtaking. There was a nice spicy overtake from Vettel, I think.
On Alonso.
Was it Alonso?
He overtook Alonso pretty aggressively, and Alonso spun.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about that one. I was thinking more. I think it was against a Haas. There was a bit of a spicy overtake, either a Haas or a Force India. But that's what I mean. Like, it was so boring.
It was really interesting. The most interesting race, as it often is in these races, is when people go to the back of the field like Vettel and Bottas, and you watch them coming through. Both of them put on the soft tyres and proceeded to make their way back through the field. And I've actually got a note here on lap 26 when Verstappen pitted and came out ahead of Vettel. Vettel was up to P5, Bottas up to P10. A big old difference considering they were nose to tail, isn't it? And I think it just showed to me this race, as a few have, Bottas just misses that racing instinct.
Do you think that was racing instinct, or do you think it was his car?
I have heard some. Yeah, I did hear things that he did have some floor damage, and the Mercedes can't follow. But at the same time, Vettel and your Hamilton have become a master of coming back through the field. And Bottas, it's something, if he wants to be considered for these championships, it's something he really has to master, because
I think that was his drive, wasn't it? If he does get this championship, this 5th place was pivotal. Because if he'd finished down in 8th or 9th or even 7th, 6 points to the 10 that he did claw back is massive.
Yeah, I mean, by lap 26, he was back up into that top 6.
It's nuts. It was very good.
It was,
at one point, you just thought, Jesus, he's going to get Kimi here, and Kimi's probably going to be sat there going, Jesus Christ. At one point, they did pretty much. They were next to each other, weren't they? Kimi got his place back because of pits, but still.
Yes, because Vettel stopped the second time, which I think, again, I don't think if they had that penalty, because you can't. That's the problem with the penalty. You can't hold on against a car when you've got a 5-second penalty. So I think that did influence their decision to pit again. Otherwise, I think they would have tried to keep him out. But yeah, it was just superb overtaking from Vettel. Great aggressive racing, and fought his way up through. And as you say, it's those kind of moments that will decide championships or keep you in the championship fight. So yeah, it's pretty interesting from him, and a great drive through the field from young Sebastian. It's one to watch in the future, that's for sure. And then I've written the word snooze. Lap 52 Stroll blowout end. So have you got anything to add for the final part of the race?
Some cars went round and some finished in pretty much the same position as after the first lap.
Lovely job.
Yeah. Lewis was in another world, wasn't he, really? He was on cloud 9. When Lewis wants to win, and he wants to win well, and he's not won at a circuit, he just finds that plane, doesn't he? He finds that area he needs to perform at. He knew it was another race he wanted to add to his little tick book. People say that Lewis, doesn't care about all of the accolades, doesn't care about all of this. It's utter bollocks. That man is numbers driven. He is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's It's like 26 no, it's more than that, I think, now. Circuits that he's won at.
Nuts.
It is a huge...
He wants to win them all.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, he was utterly dominant. That Mercedes car, we'll never really know because we didn't see Vettel up there to see what the pace was like. They seemed very, very close on pace. But yet again, we probably would have seen the same thing if they just can't overtake each other.
I know.
Verstappen, it would stand out, I've got to say.
Verstappen did okay. Again, he couldn't really do much with the. There's no way he was catching, was he?
No, but he kept him very honest, and
I guess I think Lewis really controlled. Do you think this, the reason he couldn't get any closer was because of the whole aero thing at the moment, or do you think it was the tyres, or do you just think he, couldn't push to what he needed to?
Oh no, I think Hamilton controlled it, but what I mean is Verstappen kept him honest. You don't
7 seconds adrift.
You don't get as close to sort of 3.5 seconds, which he did at a time, because Hamilton is letting you.
Yeah.
You've got to put the laps together to do it, but it might be Hamilton's saving phase type thing.
He didn't look like he ever had the chance to close him down.
No, but it's still, considering the car and the difference in qualifying was nearly 3/4 of a second this time round.
Yeah.
It was still a great drive from him, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
Good pace.
Oh, yeah, it's all fine, mate.
It's all fine. Just 7 seconds away. It's all fine. Kimi Räikkönen, good performance again. Good podium. Just not great. And just not special, He does the job.
It's his last season. He's not staying on any longer.
Can you not see him going to, like, Haas or something?
No! Kimi Räikkönen will buy out with a big bag of Coke and go mad. There's no way that Kimi Räikkönen is going down at all. I will eat my sock if Kimi Räikkönen signs for Ferrari for 2019.
Okay. Take a picture of the sock so we know which one it is.
You've heard it here.
You're not allowed to wash it until the end of the season.
He's not long for that red car. I feel that they're just keeping him there because he's the best they can get and what they want until either Leclerc or they can sign up Danny.
Yeah, quite possibly. I'm still really can't see Daniel Ricciardo in that car. I feel his option is either Mercedes, which again is I think he's staying at Red Bull. I really do. I don't think he's
going anywhere.
I don't think he's got anywhere to go.
No,
that's the big problem.
I think he's put the feelers out, but I don't think anything's come back positive.
No, just you got two teams of two drivers that would be very hard to work with Ricciardo. He's all lovable and excitable, but on the track he would frustrate Hamilton and Vettel no end. By just how aggressive and close they'd be. So
Lewis hasn't signed yet, though, has he?
No, he hasn't. There is talk that he'll be doing that before the British Grand Prix. I think he will. I don't see why he won't. I just can't see him retiring. While he's in the fastest car, if Mercedes have one season where they're not the quickest car, I can see him going.
They want to sign him up past 2020, but can you see him doing that?
No, because I think he'll want to wait and see what the regulations do in 2021. So I can't see him wanting to, even if he wants to race beyond there.
Do you think he'll sign a 2-year contract?
I think that would be a no-brainer for him. And Mercedes, to be fair, I don't see what they'd be complaining about. They have the best driver. I would almost say the best driver in F1 now. I don't often say that about Hamilton, but he probably is.
Modest comments from Jeremy there. He'd be 35 going into the 2021 change.
If you keep Hamilton motivated, he could race until he was 40.
I don't think he will have the physical acumen to do it past the age of 40.
Maybe.
He said he wants to do other things.
That's what I mean. I don't think he wants to. If he kept that drive and really wanted to, he could race for so many years and break so many records that would probably never ever be beaten. But I don't think he'll want to. As you say, he's distracted by too much as it is.
He's already Britain's best ever racing driver.
Yeah, and I can't see anyone getting close to him for a long time.
For a long time.
Boy done good.
Yeah.
Your boy done
Sorry,
good
Jackie.
from Stevenage.
Sorry, Jackie.
Yeah. I mean, he's Scottish. I don't really count him.
Is he a sir?
He is, of course he is. Sir Jackie Stewart.
When do you think Lewis will get his knighthood?
Depends what he does, really.
I don't think he will, to be honest. Well, you never know with the with the more mixed race royal family these days. I don't think it's a no.
You think Meghan Markle is really quantifying it as well? I guess.
Would you think that's the only thing holding him back from a knighthood? I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
Oh, Liz, you couldn't see to be giving a man from Barbados a knighthood, could you?
I mean, he's from Stevenage, mate.
Half of him is, yeah. The other half isn't.
Sir Trevor McDonald?
Trevor McDonald? What's that got to do with anything?
Which shows that it happens.
Okay.
If
It's a bit different, though, isn't it?
If you're going by that logic, of course
you couldn't get any more British than Sir Trevor McDonald.
What are you on about? He's like...
I think he's Trinidadian.
Yeah, is he even British?
Yeah, he's Trinidadian British. Well, I don't think... how many black sirs are there?
He was born in Trinidad. He's not... Oh, yeah. Let's not go into this.
Why not? It's a good topic.
I feel it's an unnecessary topic.
Why?
Let's not make this a thing.
It's the state of our current people.
Well,
Mo Farah.
I think it should make no difference, and I've always had this opinion with...
But it obviously does,
I've
Jamie.
always had this opinion with perceived racism. The more you talk about it as an issue, rather than just accepting it, as being a non-issue, because it should be, that it extends the period in which it's an issue.
Be one with the racism.
Okay, let's not... No, that's even worse. Clip.
Literally, the only person of, like, reasonable recognition, or the person who would be known, there's only two people, Trevor McDonald and Mo Farah. The other people I've never heard of before. I think there are more people from the Commonwealth who have got it through whatever they've done for their country. Yeah,
and let's not forget the hundreds and hundreds of people that are civil servants and other normal walks of life that get the thing that you never hear about.
Most of them white.
I don't know. I don't have the... Look, yes, I think he will become absolutely. What I mean by at what point? I mean I think he could get it early if he broke Schumacher's record.
Yeah.
And I think it could be quite a few years before he gets given it if he doesn't.
Look, there are more people who deserve it. The great Murray Walker is still not a knight, still not a sir. That needs to be petitioned. Why has he not got a knighthood?
Should he? I mean, I agree with my heart, but should he be? He's got no OBE. That's something. Yeah.
Jimmy Savile, wasn't he a sir?
He used to be. He got it stripped.
Yeah, I know. Jimmy Savile or Murray Walker. Let that settle in.
And don't you lose the right when you die anyway? Aren't you technically not a sir when you die?
You can get it added posthumously.
No. I mean, you when you die, you're not a knight of the realm, and you're a representative knight of the realm anymore.
I think it goes down that you were a sir, but you're not an active sir.
You're not a. You're not going to turn up for duty.
No.
In the wars to come.
No.
And that's what I would like to see. Like,
oh God! They bought Murray Walker's corpse.
No. Like, in a war, all the sirs actually have to come command the battalions.
I think they should. Can you imagine all of these old sirs just rocking up? Trevor McDonald,
Mo Farah just sprinting across no man's land.
Barry from the Bee Gees.
No one can catch him.
The only person is Mo Farah, who's just run off doing laps of everyone, slicing them with his Boadicea spikes. Anyway, enough of that. I think we've tracked far too far away from Formula One.
I want to see what kind of lineup we could have here.
What? Well, you'd have a lineup of Mo Farah fronted by Barry from the Bee Gees, and then flanked on the other side by Sir Trevor McDonald.
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
leading the way.
Sean Connery in charge of archery.
Bill Gates on like
Bill,
a diamond unicorn.
Bill
Clint,
Gates.
Clint Eastwood on a horse.
Clint Eastwood's not English.
He's a sir though.
You can't be a sir and not be English.
Oh, he's a sir. He was Legion of Honor in France. Okay.
Oh, there you go. I was gonna
Michael
say.
Caine.
Michael Caine, definitely. You'd have Michael Caine at the front,
Paul
punching
McCartney,
his way
Patrick
through.
Stewart in his Star Trek uniform.
You're meant to come with me, Spock. Yes.
Elton John, just massive glasses.
Oh, giant piano,
Yeah.
motorised piano.
Bono, we just all push him out of the trench first.
Literally. Don't hurt me, I'm Bono! No! Anyway, I think we strayed far too far.
Ian McKellen in his
So,
Gandalf uniform.
yes. He would be my number one general. Gandalf, what do we do? I've told you before, I'm not actually Gandalf. Gandalf, what do we do?
Yeah, I want to be in the Buggy division.
Call the Eagles. That's not a real thing.
They have drones, Gandalf. They're not eagles.
Oh, call the electric Eagles.
No, it's okay, my boy. I can tame them. I've got them off. No, Gandalf, you're...
I don't give a flying fuck what you do in this war. Me and Patrick Stewart have just got off bonging.
Oh, look, here comes Dumbledore. Michael Gambon.
Michael Gambon. Me, Michael Gambon, and Stewart are off down the pub to get absolutely lashed off our face. We haven't got time for your silly battles. Send in the Eagles.
Oh no, what's this? It's Rolf Harris. What's he doing?
Is he a sir?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I think he might have been stripped of it.
I don't know. I think we strayed a bit too far when we mentioned Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile.
David Attenborough, like, riding a lion.
You can just keep... Oh, call Jimmy over. He'll deal with them ragscallions.
We
He'll be
are
flanked and helped
so
by...
far off topic.
What would happen in a real battle of the Knights of the Realm these days?
Yeah. What's the equivalent in America? Is there an equivalent?
I don't think so. Fox can help us with that. I don't think there is.
I feel like this could be a good battle.
Medal of Honor, maybe?
What is the knighthood? Swedish. Why is this all Swedish? I don't want Swedish. Fuck
What
you.
the Swedes done? PewDiePie must be up there.
USA Congressional Gold Medal and Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Oh, goodness gracious. Who wants that?
Presidential Medal of Freedom winners.
Who wants a Medal of Freedom?
Steven Spielberg, Robert De Niro.
Congratulations. You've won your freedom. I heard today, other Robert De Niro news, he's only just got a star on the Hall of whatever it is, Star of Fame thing in LA.
Well, what's he ever done?
He's only just got it. Star of Taxi Driver.
He only got his Medal of Freedom in 2016. Do you have some
What?
big resurgence? Everyone remembered about it. No, it's maybe they go for the philosophy in America of when they're nearly dead, we'll give it to them. Tom Hanks could actually just be the guy from Saving Private Ryan. So.
Oh my god!
What?
Just see a picture of a guy at the World Cup dressed up as a looky man, but he's white.
Okay, we're really, really far away from where we need to be. Fourth place, Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh yeah, sorry, where do we get with this? I'm completely lost.
We've only got to fourth.
Oh.
We've had that kind of monumental derail already.
Well, you decided to see what would happen in
I
a real
really
one.
enjoyed it.
It was good fun, wasn't
I've
it?
always said we should do just a rambling podcast where we just talk for 2 hours of God
that
knows.
would be really fun if you could get that animated.
I
what would
think
happen
we should do
in
it.
A real knighthood with Sarah.
I
I
think we should get Forge in,
Patrick Stewart.
and we should just do 2 hours of just nonsense, and
2
then
hours of
we
rambling
can get people to
nonsense.
animate it. It'd be great.
It would be funny.
Anyway, disappointing from Ricciardo, really, considering his comparison to Verstappen. I seem to think he's had issues, but I can't remember. But yeah, not the best weekend from him. Vettel, we've already talked enough about. Kevin Magnussen, P6 in the Haas. That one kind of passed me by, but I guess it was because of all those issues at the beginning, and he was up to 5th, and then he had Leclerc behind him as a bit of a bottleneck, didn't he? So that allowed him to break away. So I think that's why he finished 6th. But great performance from him. Bottas may have had the fastest lap of the race, but only managed to recover to 7th. Not really good enough considering you got Haas in front of you. He finished pretty close to him, to be fair, but not close enough. Carlos Sainz, another great result. Nick Hülkenberg nicely recovered into 9th to get some more points for Renault. They're decent midfield. I still don't feel they're making the jumps needed for Renault to stay in the sport long term. We'll see. But would you agree with that with Renault?
Yeah, why not?
Cool. You're completely disinterested in Formula 1 after that talk, aren't you? You couldn't care less.
It's just completely derailed me. Sorry. Say again.
It's all right.
Renault, did they deserve to be where they were? Is that what you said?
No, it's not even remotely what I said.
Well, Jamie,
Charles
I
Leclerc,
agree with
P10,
you.
picking up a point again. Had some issues in the race. He was really strong at the beginning, but
To be fair, he finished reasonably well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's still great to get a point considering the cars behind him. Romain Grosjean, P11, again, troubled race. Stoff Van Dorn, P12 in the McLaren. It was okay for him, I guess. I mean, you just got to look at the lap times of himself compared to Alonso before he retired. I don't even remember Alonso retiring. He apparently did. Ericsson 13th, Hartley 14th, and Sorokin 15th.
He retired right at the end because he was going very slowly.
Yeah, that's normally what happens before they retire.
It didn't look like he restarted. Like, it was a very weird situation because I think DC and whoever the other guy is, Ben Edwards, commented on it. Oh, I don't think the McLaren knows that it's restarted. So I think he had an issue right at the very end when obviously there was an incident, wasn't there, with the Willy at the end. I think he had an issue from then on in. No idea what, though. There were some cool radio messages over, almost akin to Japan 2 years ago. GP2 engine and all of that.
He was getting frustrated, wasn't he?
Incredibly frustrated, and too right. Just off the back of an immense win at Le Mans to then come into some shitbox of an orange peel piece of disaster.
These are the pinnacle of motorsport. He should be lucky to be there, shouldn't he? That's what some people say about him. It's complete rubbish. He deserves so much better at this point in his career. McLaren's a nightmare. Stroll did have that blowout on lap 48. Retired. Perez retired on lap 27. I think that was just a routine retirement in the pits, wasn't it? What I remember. And then obviously Ocon and Gasly, the two Frenchmen, out on the final lap. Right. Man of the race for you?
Oh, I don't know. Was there even a man of the race? Was there even a race that went round?
That is precisely the question I'm asking.
Lewis, I guess. He did okay. He won, didn't he? It was that boring, Jamie. I hardly knew that we went to France.
Okay. Well, I would give it to Kevin Magnussen. I think he did a good job. Some good points there.
Scraping a barrel. Did you just give K-Mag some praise?
Yeah, I want to keep my subscribers. I'm firing. I'm firing him next year in Motorsport Manager. So to get in Daniel Ricciardo or Verstappen or Rosberg, haven't decided yet. Anyway, yeah. So that was the race, and I think before we go on to our normal sections, I just want to take a little bit of time to talk about the French Grand Prix and its return. Then, interesting track. I'd never really seen Paul Ricard before this, which is staggering. It's not normally in many sim games, and it's not a track I've raced on before.
I haven't raced it before. No.
Yeah, that's where I normally learn the track from.
I've seen it on Top Gear once, a couple of years back, and I've seen it in a couple of promotional videos with Renault. I've seen the hideousness before.
Where they keep inviting every mother, father, and daughter of anybody to do with any kind of social media or YouTube.
Yes, pretty much
to go and drive their car.
Round Paul Ricard, yeah.
Paul
but
Ricard
Jesus Christ, I want my eyes back. Please, please, French people, give me my eyes back.
Oh my...
It's hideous, isn't
God,
it?
those curbs and the paint was... Oh, it was horrid. And did you see there was one aerial shot of like all the different track layouts at one part of the track? It was
yes.
like fucking Spaghetti Junction. It
wasn't
ridiculous.
good, was it?
Yeah. I mean, it looks impressive, I guess. The way it was all painted, there's definitely a great deal of support. A lot of Frenchmans and womans and French kids, that's what they're called, turned up for this event. I just want to get on to the main event here, which was the trophies. You see the trophies on
I didn't,
Scrub View?
actually.
Have you not seen the trophies?
No, I didn't see. Oh, the little monkeys.
They were gorillas.
Little gorillas.
Holding Pirelli tyres.
Oh,
there was
fabulous.
a massive fucking 10-foot red gorilla statue on the podium.
I saw the gorilla on the podium. He's got a name, isn't he?
Harambe.
No, fuck's sake.
I did actually think, was Harambe in France? Is this why there's a... I've just typed in bloody Harambe instead of French gorilla.
He's got a name.
Is that what it was? Because I didn't understand why.
It was an artist designed it.
But why the gorilla?
I don't know. That was just the mascot for the circuit. Like I said, an artist designed it.
What do you mean? It was just the circuit. You can't just have a gorilla there for no reason.
No, it's just like the designer thing. I don't know.
Just like the casual thing, stick a gorilla on the podium, make it the trophy.
I think they just commissioned an artist. It's French, isn't it? They're crazy. Commissioned an artist to make a sculpture for a mascot.
And that's
for the
what
circuit.
he came up with.
That's what he came up with, yeah.
It was really cool, but I just didn't understand.
It was a bit random.
I just spent. Oh, there's quite a few memes of Donkey Kong and that actually. If it was Donkey Kong, that'd be amazing.
I can't remember. He had a name.
Yeah, but was he based on a real gorilla or?
No idea.
Okay, well, that was quite interesting anyway. Right, on to the normal sections. As we have finished our race recap, we know what that's time for. It's time for... Oh, God.
Crash of the week, you bastard.
You're really, really getting in. Do you want to get rid of this section?
Oh, no, I just didn't enjoy the race. Can you tell? It was just a bit of a mute one. I guess we might get some
I agree. It was,
better races soon with it, maybe.
I thought the track was quite good for overtaking. It's just Formula 1 this year in general is the actual racing, when it gets down to it, when you don't have the incidents and the drama, is as drab as it's ever been. But, yeah, we'll see what happens next year. Which was your crash of the week, then?
Oh, well, they were a bit shit, weren't they? I think my favourite crash, which wasn't really much of a crash, was it Sorotkin's tyre letting go?
Yeah.
I think that was the fire. There was a good fire, a little bit of a fire. You don't see fires a lot, do you, these days?
I liked the fire crash.
I liked the fire. The fact he didn't know that he was also on fire was
I never try and influence the crash of the week, but I will put in half a vote for...
All right, we'll go with the fire. We'll go with Ericsson.
No, I don't want to influence it. I don't want to influence it.
No, we'll go with the fire, mate.
We'll go with fire. Okay, cool. Yeah. We'll go with fire. Yeah, I thought it was quite spectacular. Shame it wasn't in the race. I feel like a few more people would be talking about it if there was a fire. I'm just throwing my pen around, by the way. A few more people would have talked about it if it was a bit of fire in the race. But yeah, just seen a video of Sam Allardyce was eating a burger alone in a London pub during a 6-1 win. Panama. Yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I shouldn't have said that I was corrupt. However, I got caught out and I'm eating a burger. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a thing. Right.
I don't think I've ever Googled Sam Allardyce eating burger, and I don't think I ever would.
No.
Let's have a look. I feel really bad. I watched I watched a documentary, completely away from football, from F1, a documentary about the impossible job, it was called, managing England.
I haven't watched that yet.
I honestly watch it because it is very good, and you get good opinion from the the manager side of things. Especially Bobby Robson bit was quite good, and Sven was also. Sven's actually quite a likable chap. But anyway, Big Sam, I think he is actually genuinely gutted that he couldn't take us to the World Cup.
Oh, of course he is. But if someone offered him a bung again, he'd probably take it again. He's that kind of guy. He won't learn from it.
I think he is genuinely devastated. Can you imagine, like, given a chance to manage England? I think it's for the best, I think it's definitely for the best that he's not there. Gareth, I think, is doing a really good job, but yeah, hilarious, but also very sad at the same time. But watch that if you get a chance on BBC. It's good little doc.
I will do. Yeah, it's been on my watch list for a while.
Documentary.
No.
Good old Dockers. Right, well, to save this
factual movie,
save this podcast from turning into actual ear cancer, I think we're gonna move on to the new fun topic of the week. Test Jamie, you bastards!
They are very similar theme tunes, these, don't they?
They are.
Could they possibly have been influenced by a certain podcast from the early 2010s?
Now, seeing as Crash of the Week has lost a bit of traction this week, Test Jamie is brought to you by the delicious snack that's also found in a chilled section. It is cream in a can. However, they've decided to move things on to other forms of production. It's now cream in a nice breakfast snack bar. You can have it on the go or at home while sitting back and enjoying a lovely documentary on television. So that is cream in a bar. Brought to you by the makers of Cream in a Can.
Cream in a bar?
Cream in a bar, mate.
Is that not... That's basically...
It's iced cream.
Like white chocolate. Oh, ice cream. I think that's already a thing, mate.
Well, the makers of Cream in a Can thought there was a niche, a gap in the market, and they're bringing it to you guys now. First, you've heard it here.
I mean, to be fair, you get cream in little tubs anyway, so it's not as if we've completely reinvented the product. We just put it in a different container.
We have definitely not reinvented the wheel. However, we have maybe changed the receptacle. However, you will receive the cream in.
Coming next week, eggs in a bottle. And our
bacon in a balloon.
Yeah. Oranges in a pizza box.
I think enough of that. I think we touched on a really fun little section.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
So I think because I haven't thought of anything better than that since, we're going straight back to that format of Test Jamie, and it will be exactly the same as it was before. However, I've learnt from my previous mistakes, and I'm moving on to something that might test Jamie a little more, and I actually know the rules of the game.
Have you actually scrubbed up on the format?
I may have learnt what we need to do.
I feel it loses some drama if I have to correct how the process works.
Well, I've learned this time, and hopefully, we'll go on.
All I would say is don't attempt like Sudoku or something if you can't get the rules of higher or lower right.
Okay, moving on. So we're back to higher or lower. Test Jamie. Right. So we'll start off with a number. I'll flip it over, and just like the game that you saw on that very common game show.
No, yes, we'll start with a driver, not a number.
We'll start with a number that relates to the driver.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Jesus, simmer the shit down.
Just like number 5, guess the driver.
Right.
Go on.
Okay, so we'll start off with the mustache himself.
Mr. Mansell.
Mr. Mansell, the king of Silverstone.
Okay.
Do you want to guess how many starts first? We'll see if you can guess it. You won't get a point for this, but... See if you can guess how many starts.
How many starts for Nigel Mansell?
How many starts, Nigel Mansell? You don't get points for this. No bonus points, nothing.
I'm going to go 105.
105? It's very low. Are you sure?
Well, they used to do about 12 to 16 race seasons, and I think he did about 10. So that's probably about 120, 140, isn't it, actually?
Well, it's 187.
Oh, more than I thought. To be fair,
many more than you thought.
Okay.
187. So, right, similar kind of time that they would have raced. They might have overlapped at some point. Mansell was probably before his time. Well, he was before his time. Mika Hakkinen, the Great Finn.
So we're talking
Higher or lower?
We're talking 95 to about 2003. Actually, I think he came in 94. Actually, I think he might have been late in the house in 92. To be fair, higher or lower?
Higher or lower? 187. Mika Hakkinen, higher or lower? The Flying Finn.
I'm gonna go just because he raced a little bit more modern. I'm gonna go higher.
Oh, he's got one wrong! 161 race starts for Mika Hakkinen. He's thrown him at the first question. That's a big for Jamie on the first question. What did you guys get at home? Were you right? Were you not? Let us know. Or don't. We don't care.
We literally couldn't give a shit.
We literally don't care at this point. Okay,
I hate this game.
On.
I hate
this game already. Why did we bring it back? You'll never know. So, Hill Senior.
Hill Senior.
Higher or lower?
Hill Senior.
Hill Senior. Higher or lower?
Lower.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's got to be lower.
I'm going to check this.
What do you mean?
We're going to
check this? What kind of game is this?
We're going to check this.
Is that a pointless answer? We're just going to check Google. Hang on.
1 second, Jeff. We're just going to check. So what did you have before? We had 161.
Yep.
You said
lower.
Higher or lower? You said lower.
Yep.
That's your second wrong. Graham Hill, 176 starts. And that is Formula One World Championship career.
Really?
176.
Okay.
That man was prolific in his time.
Yeah, I didn't think he... okay.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
I'm shit at this game, as it turns out.
Flipping it on its head. Gerhard Berger. 20 years later. Mr. Berger.
More. Gotta be more.
Higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher. Yay! Scores first point. Gerhard Berger. Do you want to hazard a guess?
203.
Oh, close. 210.
There we go.
Berger, 210. PK. Similar kind of time.
PK Senior, yeah?
PK Senior, yeah. No, of course it's not the... Of course it's not
I was
junior.
going to say lower.
Don't go there, Crashgate.
Oh, we will.
Higher or lower? Higher or lower?
Berger.
Then Gerhard Berger at 210. Higher or lower?
See, I think you raced late PK as well. I'm going to go higher.
Gonna go higher.
Lower.
Oh, he's torn. Higher or lower?
See, I think he was in... Lower.
Lower?
Yeah, I think he did
Gets
about the
his
same as
second
Mansell.
point.
Same as Mansell, roughly. About 180.
204. It's lower. Well done. Very close.
That was very close, yeah.
Very close.
Okay.
Very close.
Hence
Ayrton
the
Senna,
umming and ahhing.
higher or lower?
I don't think he hit 200. I don't think he did lower.
161, much lower.
There we go.
Had to bring it down.
That's the nature of the game.
Had to bring it down somehow. Weren't too sure how, but we did it. Jack Brabham. The man almost ushered in as Australia's saviour behind a wheel.
Now, you see, I would almost certainly say lower.
Is he Australian or is he Kiwi? He is Australian,
He is
isn't
Australian, yeah.
Yeah.
You see, I would nearly almost always say lower, but Jim Clark's really...
Jim Clark.
No,
it wasn't Jim Clark.
Graham Hill has really thrown me off.
Long wrapped himself round a tree by then.
He's really thrown me off. No, I'm not gonna be dragged in by it. I'm gonna say lower. It's got to be lower.
Lower. 126.
Oh, yes. Okay.
It's
Back
Paul.
on
He's
form.
on a roll.
We can finish.
He's on a roll.
How many we got left?
I've just realised that I haven't been crossing these off, so I'm just going to go through and cross off a couple that I've already read out.
Oh, did you? Are you deciding the order as we go?
Oh yeah, there's no order, mate. It's all foul.
Okay.
No order. We done Hill, haven't we? Just done Brabham. That was Brabham, wasn't it? 126. 126 for Jack Brabham. We done Hakkinen, haven't we?
Yep.
Mika Hakkinen. Oh no, we done Hakkinen. We done Mr. Ballbag Face himself. Emo Fittipaldi. Old Emo. Cracking old Emo. The Lotus lover, some would say. Champion of 1976.
Oh, got to be. It's got to be.
Higher or lower?
You see, he raced lower, but he went into Indy.
126. No, it's F1 race starts.
I know. But I mean, he raced a lot deeper into his career, but he went to Indy quite early.
Higher or lower? 126. Mo, the ball bag Fittipaldi. It's for your 5th point, Jamie. Higher or lower? I must push you.
Higher.
Oh, it secures the 5th point. Do you want to guess how many?
Like
you want to guess?
150, 160.
144.
Oh, okay.
Very, very close.
It was quite close, yeah.
Was very
I'd say because
close.
he went into IndyCar late.
Prost.
Very early, sorry, and then raced late. More. Higher.
Prost. Higher?
Yeah.
Easy win. Prost, higher. 199.
There we go. Why did he stop? He could come back for one race, surely. To do his 200th.
Well, obviously not. No, he's French.
Must have been gutted.
I know. John Surtees.
One more race. If he had oh no, he started that race. John Surtees. Less.
The only man to
Lower.
win on 4 and 2 wheels.
Correct, yeah. Absolute legend. Lower.
Lower?
Mm-hmm.
I've passed John Surtees at Goodwood. He looked very old. I didn't get to say hi.
He's an old man.
He is very old. Higher or lower?
I've just said 3 times lower.
Sorry, you are correct.
Definitely lower. Yeah.
110. I've got a bit lost with the numbers here, but there is a method to my madness. There is a method to my madness. Okay. Right. Moss.
Higher, because he raced a long time. Higher.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Surtees was in 101.
Yep, higher.
66.
Fuck.
66.
I guess they didn't race much then, did they?
The gentleman who never won.
They had a lot of non-classified races back then as well, didn't they, I guess?
Jim Clark. Some say the greatest to ever live behind a wheel. The great Jim Clark. Higher or lower than 66? Kildare.
He was, but he's got to be higher than... higher. Not
72! 72! Well done. That's your ninth. Can you make it into double figures?
That's not my 9th point. You are so bad at counting. That's like we're 7th. 6th
no,
or
it's
7th.
Not. It's your 9th. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You've got 9 right.
Have I?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. There might have been. There's not even been 9 questions, has there?
Yeah, there has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You've only got a couple wrong.
Have we done 12 already?
12, mate. You've got
Time flies when you're doing higher or lower.
Time flies when you're doing this age-old concept of who can get higher or lower than the person before.
Oh, you
Fangio!
need...
Fangio! The great Fangio! Higher or lower than Jimmy Clark? 72.
See, he raced less than Moss. Got lower.
The Moss than Clark?
Yeah, but Moss was lower than Clark, and Moss, I'm sure, raced longer.
A method to his madness. That's his 10th correct answer out of 13. Fangio, 51 starts.
Well,
51
yeah, because I mean, Fangio retired in like 58,
how could people say?
And Moss went to 63, 64.
51 starts, and he achieved so much.
Well, yeah, that's why people say he's the best.
51 starts. Hawthorne.
Mike Hawthorne. Christ.
Mike Hawthorne.
Mike fucking Hawthorne.
Mike fucking
Jake
Hawthorne.
Dennis.
Jake Dennis is not in this lineup. Mike Hawthorne, however, is.
Hawthorne.
Tragically killed. World champion as well. In the Ferrari.
Lower.
Correct. Lower than Fangio at 51. Very close. 45 starts. That's your 11th out of 14. We're at the business end here now. We've got a couple more to go.
Okay, this is an extensive list this time around.
I went
really
deep.
run with this formula.
I went deep.
Okay, let's not use that analogy. Right, come on.
The great Jackie Stewart, Sir Jackie Stewart,
Higher.
Used to race with a spanner attached to his steering wheel.
There's no question. It's higher.
It is higher.
Yeah.
It's a silly place to put him.
Yeah.
However, it does lead into this question.
Okay. What's the number?
Some would say the most likeable person
What's
to
the
ever
number?
get behind. Oh, it's 99.
19 again. Why did they stop?
Because he was a wimp. No, he had every right to stop. He had nothing to prove. the most likable person to ever to get behind the wheel? Do I need to say his
Pastor
name?
Maldonado.
No. Funny enough, no. Same era. James Hunt.
Yeah, very same era.
Same era-ish as what I've been doing the whole way through.
Lower.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure that you're sure?
Yeah.
Higher or lower than Stewart at 99?
Lower.
Just by the skin of his teeth. 92.
Way too overconfident on that.
92. You got
no
13
idea.
right of about 15 questions or 16 questions.
Come on.
You did very well. And they were hard questions.
I'll take that.
They were very hard questions. I think you won again. I haven't beaten you.
I mean, yeah,
Haven't beaten Jamie.
We haven't really put much criteria on this.
That was harder than last
Let's just
time.
say much fun was had by all.
Much fun was had by all. How did you do at home? We don't care, but let us know anyway.
Put your numbers in the description.
How many did you get out of probably 16? It could have been more, probably less. I don't know because I'm not going to count them again.
You can count them for yourself.
Yes, you can go back and count them now. How many did you do? Post them down.
We'll
I won't be looking later.
We'll take a pause while you tot up your scores.
Did you top them up?
Whoa! Give them some time. They've got to find a pen and a paper.
You do have a pause button down there. Don't do that though, because you might not come back. Because there's lots of content coming. There's not.
Yeah, you've completely ruined the joke again.
Sorry.
It's alright. Right, that was fun. I enjoy these. Let's change the format for next time, though.
All right, I'll switch it up.
Different game. Or would you like a reverso?
What test? No, because it'd be hideously bad. No, it's always got to be. Once I've beaten you, you are able to then beat me. That sounded very wrong.
We're only now we dwelled on it.
Let's move on.
All right. Yeah, I enjoyed that. It's I always love testing my F1 knowledge. Those older timies are much tricky. I find the late 80s to mid 90s comparing to 60s and 70s. I find that hard. It's quite easy to compare people within the relative era.
Eras.
Yeah. But between two big gaps like that, and the modern era,
and 30s. It's hard to,
A modern era, it's much easier because they race 20 odd races a season. So they're always going to be a lot higher. But yeah, that was I enjoyed that. It was good. All right, where are we? A little bit of news, I guess. We've overrun again massively.
We always do.
But I feel like this new section has replaced the topics, and they're sort of the same length as they were. We always do this. I feel like we could go on for another hour. And the first 20 minutes, I'm like, how the hell are we going to do an hour? We do somehow find a way through. You said there was plenty of news. I've struggled to find much. So, is there any that stuck out for you?
Renault Honda.
Oh, of course.
Haven't touched on this today. Haven't touched on it. Not even.
You mean Honda Red Bull?
Yes. It's all fine, mate. Honda Red Bull. Jake fucking Dennis.
Renault are running a Honda next year.
Did you not know?
Really giving up. Yeah, I think it was on the cards, wasn't it? I think Canada was a big sign that it was going to happen because they made a big step forward with the engine. Whether they can catch up Mercedes and Ferrari, we'll have to wait and see. Is it Red Bull's best option, do you think? Considering how far ahead of Renault competition they already are, they're already pretty much the works team.
They know something that we don't, I guess, with what's happening with that Renault.
They're taking a risk.
Do you think they really are? They want to be a works and the only supplier, don't they? The only receiver of that engine. Yeah. I don't think they would. Their contract they've got with Honda is to supply only Red Bull appointed cars. I don't think they can see them being customers to anyone else.
No.
That I think that's the deal. The dealio.
I think you would always rely on Red Bull to outdevelop anybody in the aero department. So.
Yeah.
I think if you gave Mercedes or Ferrari the same engine, I think Red Bull would still probably come out on top. So,
doesn't it really go to show that how good Red Bull really are?
Next year will tell us that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the big thing. It's a huge test for Honda. It's going to be super interesting.
Oh yeah.
Even just to see if they're as competitive as they were this year.
Do you reckon they'll get old Tag Heuer on board?
No, this will be a full Honda partnership, won't it? This will be all the bells and whistles in the pre-season, and it's be a big new relationship for the pair of them. I reckon we might see a different livery for Red Bull next year as well.
Do you think?
Or something strikingly different about it.
I guess we don't have to have the orange, the yellow anymore, do they?
No, well, I mean, yellow's more Red Bull, isn't it? Actually, no. You see, I just because of the cars, I always think that now.
They have always been.
God,
maybe back because did they take over the Jaguar team?
Yeah.
And they ran Renault engines from day dot, didn't they? Really touching here.
No, they took Renaults in 2007 or 2008. I think they had Cosworths the first couple of years.
Possibly, but still, this is big news for Red Bull fans. Big news.
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive news.
I'm looking at the Red Bull. It's been so long since I've had a Red Bull. The Red Bull can has got that yellow on it anyway, so that's not from Renault. That is from Red Bull. But yeah, looking at the car. I'd like to see some silver on that car.
I would like to see some silver on that car.
I know.
And I think Honda would bring that. A bit of red, a bit of silver.
Yeah, bit of orange.
Ooh,
yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think it's a big move from them. I think it's one that Verstappen not so much because he's got time. I think Ricciardo will be pretty worried about. And maybe you could see this writing on the wall, and that's maybe why he wants to make this jump. Because the thing is, if it takes 2 or 3 years for them to get up to the level they need to be, Red Bull and Verstappen could potentially wait for that. But can Ricciardo? Could we see Ricciardo in a similar situation to Alonso now?
This is what I really don't want. You know, someone wasted like that, a huge talent like Danny Ricciardo. I don't want to see another Mark Webber incident. Because I would really like to see an Aussie finally get crowned.
Yeah, but, I mean, at the same time, you've got to say Webber had his chance. He had the car for 4 years that he could win the World Championship.
Did he, though? So,
let's not get into this again. Of course he did. 2010, he should have won it, and he didn't because of his own mistakes. Yeah. You know, he had that chance. Ricciardo arguably has never had the car to win a World Championship.
Yeah.
So, I think it's very different from Webber, but still as worrying in terms of if the car does not perform, where does he go at the age of 31, 32? Considering all this young talent coming through for both Ferrari and Mercedes junior programs. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's a big move from looking forward to it. It's a bit of spice on the grid, isn't it?
Bit of spice.
Bit of spice, mate. Yeah, good thinking. I didn't even think to look for news before the French Grand Prix, to be fair. Was there any other big news from before?
No.
Cool. Alonso complaining that Mclaren need to raise their game for Austria. You've said it for the last 2 years. Do you think he'll go before the end of the season?
I don't think he'll go before the end of the season, but I hate to say it, but this is the last season we'll have Alonso in a Formula One car.
Yeah,
he's gone.
I think so.
Unfortunately. It's sad though because he was one of those guys that always could have done more. You know, he could have been a Prost, he could have been, you know, a Hamilton or a Vettel. It's just sad that he never got to prove himself in that way. No, but hey ho, you know, that's, I think it does. How the cookie crumbles.
It does do quite a lot for his legacy in terms of, you know, how he always will be seen as a fighter for his years that he wasn't in that car.
I don't think it would take away anything of how people hold him in regard to...
Well, I think if anything, it raises it because it may not in the long term, but in the short term, when you look at people like Hamilton and Vettel that have never had, apart from one season for Hamilton and probably 2 for Vettel, have never had those seasons of having dragged a car that's not... that shouldn't be where it is to the heights that Alonso's taken Renault at times and McLaren.
There's still the picture of Alonso's career sits with me, like on that. I can't remember what year it was, but at Brazil when he was stood by the side of his car, just getting out of the pit lane, where he realised that he hasn't done enough, to get what he needed to do, and Vettel had beaten him to the championship, and just his little eyes, his little Spanish eyes, as he sat there with his helmet still on, as he just looked just ominously, just what the fuck do I need to do to win this championship? Do you remember? I don't know if you remember the shot, but
yeah, of course I do.
It's just that to me that sums up his career. You know, but to be fair, what's he done for his sport in his country? You know, would we have the Carlos Sainzes, you know, of tomorrow, and would we have all of that? You know, the grassroots that he's done for his country is more so for his, you know, than his achievements. But I think he'll go on and win the Triple Crown, definitely, hands down. He'll do it, no problem at all. And I think that's all he wants now. I think he's realised that the Formula One isn't. No one will take him. No one will have him. No one will pay his wage. I don't think he'll take a cut to get that seat. You never know. If a seat comes available and he just so happens to wingle that Mercedes seat, which he won't get. Mercedes don't want him. But if he was to magically get it, he probably would jump in it. But I don't think they even want to entertain it. Why would they need to? That's the only seat he wants, is it really? He's not going to Ferrari. He's not going to Red Bull. The only place that would have him would be Mercedes. Unfortunately, his only gamble that he had with McLaren to do well never came up. Trumps. So he hasn't got the time left to see it out. No, McLaren aren't going anywhere. They're not winning in the next 10 years.
No, he will, in terms of his career moves, he'll always be remembered as someone that's made the wrong decisions at the wrong time.
Yeah, bless him.
He has plenty of times. But yeah, I mean, in a fantastical world, the only seat that I could ever see him getting, I'd agree, is Mercedes, and I think that would only happen if Hamilton turned around and said, I want one season to really see if we can go head to head again, without the arguments, without the petty stuff. Just see who is the quickest. If Hamilton had this weird moment of let's do it. He said that a few times in the press as well with Vettel. He said, there is a part of him that wants to just to have that for 1 year with one of them in the team when they're at this mature age. I don't think, but it won't happen.
He can handle it. Do you think he can handle it? I don't think he'd be able to do it.
At this time of their careers, yeah, absolutely, I think they could. But
I don't think
it'd be a nightmare for the teams, and
I think he'd crumble.
I don't know. I think there's question marks over Alonso as well, as to how he would handle it. It would be incredible.
It would be. It's honest. What the people give the people what they want.
Yeah. Man. There's been a lot of calls for Formula One to have one race a year where they all go in the same car, like in a Formula 2 car, or even better, like a Vauxhall Astra, and just have a race.
They used to do it, didn't they?
Yeah. They used to jump into sports cars before the race, go into the Formula 2 races, and then go and do Formula 1. Crazy times. Apparently, Lewis Hamilton's deal with Mercedes, set to be worth 45 million, is close to being announced. We'll wait and see whether that is correct. A lot of question marks, of course, being asked over McLaren. We talked enough about them, I think, but it's, there is some question marks about the viability of them as a business as well, considering I'm reading here that moving to Renault customer is a net loss of nearly 100 million. It's a big number to lose to make, and to do that consistently till they can get back to the front.
To be fair, though, do the investors, the Bahrainian investors, really have McLaren's best interests, McLaren F1 at least, best interests at heart? I think them as a company is sound because of their commercial side, but
I don't know that the car company would make 100 million a year. From car sales. That's a lot of cars. They don't sell that many cars, mate.
McLaren?
Yeah.
I would have thought they'd probably make 100 million easy.
Let's have a look, shall we? Sales.
Say my company that I work for, we make about 10 million a year, and we're a pokey little travel company. McLaren, easily.
Okay, what would you say is the most popular car in their recent history? The one that you think would sell the most?
The McLaren?
Yeah.
The baby McLaren. I can't remember what it's called.
The MP412C.
No, 620S or whatever.
It's a very new car. I'm talking about in their recent history. The biggest car has been the 12C. Yeah.
Yeah. How much?
In 2015, they sold 13. 2014, 118. 2013, 143.
143 cars.
2012, 192. 2011, 40. That's going backwards. Oh, that is Europe, actually. But still, they probably sell quite a lot to the Middle East and America, to be fair.
Mm.
But still, they're not massive numbers because there aren't that many. They're called the 1% for a reason. And do you think...
it is something I have thought of, whether it's financially viable to them to stay in F1. I don't think they're at the point where, Williams are at. But I think it's getting to that. It will get to that point soon enough, won't it?
Well, that's the thing. They start to have to think what they need to be. You know, that 12C. If they made 100% profit on it, that's 68 million in a year. You know, and they don't make any money. It does become a point where, you know, as you say, they are owned more and more, especially since Ron Dennis has backed off his shares, and certain people have. They are owned more and more by the investors. And you think how viable it can be. You think through their history, the longest drought they probably went through was sort of the mid-90s. I can think of. I mean, 2000s they had wins and stuff, but like 93 they were struggling with Senna, but 94, 5, 6, and 7 were really comparable years to this year. These last couple of years. And
I just read this on ESPN. So a surprising statement came after McLaren just ditched Honda over the winter. Boulio, only works teams can win championships.
Yeah, how many years were they saying that?
Their only hope of getting the works drive. They put the legwork in, and I hate to say it, but foreign investment has destroyed McLaren F1. It has. The day that they signed away back in the noughties, or probably before then, to the Bahrainian investors, because those are the people that pushed to get them back to the front. Those are the ones that thought they knew best. You know, they can only see through rose-tinted glasses. You know, only see one race ahead of each other. It is literally ruined Britain's best Formula One chance. I just think it's absolutely... It's a shame, really, because... They're not going to win now because, you know, Renault have their own works team. Why would they really bother on their customer engines to win? You know, no one wins in a customer engine apart from Red Bull because they're wizards.
Well, that's it. I mean, if McLaren got their act together and got back to the standard they are, I don't know that Renault are going to get there in terms of that standard. But I just think there's something so fundamentally wrong about the way they're going about their business.
Like I said, the day that Dennis ditched off his shares and walked out of that office was the day. But
Honda was his idea.
Died. Yeah, I know Honda was his idea, but who was his idea to knock Honda? Whose idea was it to knock Honda on the head? Honda was the only way that they were going to win championships, and they couldn't see through that idea. Whoever it was had it in for Ron and had it in for everything that Ron standed for or what Ron did. And they wanted him out and his ideas. They got rid of him. They got rid of Honda. Now where are they? Nowhere. No forward thinking. No future planning. Oh yeah, we'll get on Renault because they might just get us somewhere. We're not going to be able to take on a Ferrari. We could possibly have a Ferrari engine in the back of our car. Who the fuck's going to give them an engine now? What do they know that we don't? You know, friggin' Audi are going to come swinging with engines, or It's just nuts. I don't know what they were thinking. These guys are meant to be some of the cleverest people in the UK, and they've done stuff like that. Like I said, it has to be decisions from the top brass that have done this. You know, it's not the team managers because they're just lapdogs to the people that own the companies. And like I said, it's foreign investment, the people that actually put the pennies down at the end of the day, who decided, really signed off on the deals and what they did. Someone had it in for Ron and his ideas, and they wanted nothing to do with Honda because Honda were rubbish. But you bet my bottom dollar, give it 5 years and Honda will be winning races and championships.
But would they be with McLaren? That's what I think this Renault thing has shown more than anything, is that It's not Honda. It's not the engine that's the issue. It's something fundamental in their car. No, it's something fundamental in the way they're making racing cars. It's the car. The worst part of McLaren at the moment is the car. Is the chassis. It's just dog shit, to put it bluntly. You just look at the difference between them and Red Bull. You know, I wouldn't, if they were fighting with Renault on pace every single race and, you know, starting to move clear of that midfield, then I would say you're completely right about waiting for Honda and just gradually building it up. But the fact that their car is so far off, next year is the real test for them. Because I think the engine formula is going to continue to close up between now and 2021. There's quite a fundamental regulation change next year. If next year they start getting their act together, then you can make all your points about Honda. But at the moment, the problem is with the car and the team and the car they're building. That can't be investors. You haven't got investors going in there and saying, put that roll bar there and you need a little gurney flap on there. That's them.
Oh, yeah. No, I get that. But, you know, your car's only as good as the people building it.
Yeah, which isn't the Bahrainis. It's...
I know, but... You know, certain people make the decisions. You know, the car, it doesn't build itself. People build the car. People are hired by people, and other people who pay the bills hire those people. So there's a structural problem with the management within the team that is also to blame. But yes, fundamentally, the car is shit.
It's going to be interesting next year, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
All round, with Red Bull's switch and with these new wings.
It's bad to see, isn't it? You know, it's like when a football team goes out of favour. You know, you've got all these fans that love them, but, you know, when you're qualifying 16th, it's very hard to keep them on your side.
Yeah, I think that's why I've always been fortunate that I've always been more on the driver's side. I think you're the same as well. We don't have this affinity to the team, and at the end of the day, you know, it was the most heartbreaking, irritating thing in the world, and I would have gone on for 6 times as long as what you just have if Button was still in the car and we were doing podcasts back in those couple of years. But now, it does happen. I'm more worried about the health of the sport as a whole as to whether we keep people like Ferrari and McLaren in the sport. I'm still much more in favour of a more equal level playing field that brings up the chance for a lot more privateers and a lot more manufacturers to get involved. And if in 2021 we see McLaren and maybe, I don't think it's going to happen now, but it's potentially happened, people like Ferrari leaving. Mercedes have even been taught to leave that kind of period. But we got the likes of Porsche and Audi and Aston Martin and other manufacturers in. You know, that would be a breath of fresh air, I think, at the same time. So I'm not worried about it. It's just, it's
the short term future.
Annoying for drivers like Alonso.
Very bleak.
Yeah, gotcha. They have to make big strides next year and make big changes, and they're perfectly capable of doing it. So say 90. You look at, I think it's 94 and 95, 96, 97 were their worst years. It was a very similar run, not quite as bad as this one, but it was pretty bad from what I remember. I bet you it's not going to be now. I'm looking it up. You got any closing news or thoughts before as we start to wrap up this very, very long show?
Not really.
Cool. I can't.
I don't. You know what's to say. You know, I'm frankly annoyed.
We've ended it on a very annoyed point. Let's have a look quickly then as we wrap this up.
Breaking! Lewis Hamilton agrees a 2-year deal with Mercedes. I'm going to say that this source probably isn't genuine. Apparently, it's rumoured to be worth $40 million a year.
Okay. Yeah, 45 was the one I read a minute ago. I mean, it's possible.
It's on its way and will be signed very soon.
We'll wait and see then.
So we're in the midst of a triple header, unheard of. What have we got next?
We have Austria out next time. And normally a good race. I'm expecting
a very good race.
I'm expecting a little bit of fireworks. I'd love to see. We haven't seen it enough. Vettel and Hamilton really going head to head. So yeah, I'm hopeful for for these this trip ahead, and then we're off to Silverstone, of course, the week after. It's all Formula One action, and we have to get right on our podcast game. But yeah, speaking about it, it's not quite as bad as it was. 94, 5, 6, 7 was all fourth places, so it's not quite 5th, 5th, 9th, 6th, 9th, 5th.
Do you think it's something to do with Boulier that he has to?
There's a lot of talk about him, to be fair.
There's a lot of talk. People saying he's got to go. He's got to move on.
I don't know that it's necessarily what he does. It's necessarily that might be the kind of catalyst, kind of change you need. Maybe a breath of fresh air and someone with a new direction, making it clear this is a fresh start. We're replacing Boulier. We're doing this. We're going to do this in the future. Just make it a clean slate.
Can they afford to do that?
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
What, get rid of Boulier?
Who could step up?
I don't know. It could be anybody, really. F1 bosses, you never really know about them until they take over. Look at Christian Horner and Toto Wolff. They're not people that necessarily. Obviously, Toto had that involvement with Williams. I think Horner had his F2 teams, but they're not people that are in the limelight or that you know about. I think that's what you want from McLaren. You don't take someone from another team. You take someone that has the acumen and the experience elsewhere outside Formula One and bring them in, because that's when you get the real fresh start. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Right, come on.
Sorry.
We gotta wrap this.
Oh, bit more news. Tiny bit more news.
Go on.
Renault to bring long-awaited new MG UK upgrade to Austria.
Okay.
It's been a massive thing that's affected these cars. Past couple of races, affected Sainz at the very end. Obviously affected Ricciardo. That'd be good to see if that works going into the next race.
So expect 10 Renault retirements during the weekend.
Well, hopefully it was to stop this horrible D-rate system going wrong. And
Yep, maybe. We'll see. It'd be good to see them make good steps, because Renault they did say this year it's going to be building on reliability at the beginning of the year, and then they were going to bring big performance changes. So we haven't really seen that many major updates from last year's car. And you think how McLaren have done for a lot of the season, if they have an engine that's even close to Ferrari and Mercedes, all of a sudden it's not looking so bleak. It's just the last couple of races they've really been very poor. But we shall wait and see. Right, we shall wrap this up for this week. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you've got any thoughts or comments, or your scores for Test J, then you can leave them in the comments as well. Do like the video if you did enjoy it.
You can also leave down in the comments below how much you fancy Claire Williams this week, and how many clothes she should take off for the next podcast, just so you can oogle her a bit more.
What is this? Why is this still a thing? Why was it a thing in the first place?
I think it just made you uncomfortable, so I carried on doing it.
It's just weird. It's like you're doing it so it's a thing. It's never been a thing. It came out of nowhere.
I think people need to post down or send Jamie as many scandalous or revealing pictures of Claire Williams that they can.
No, let's not do
Post that down. And then after this, we can move on to Susie Wolff.
That's fine.
It's all fine, though.
That's fine. She's new news. Venturi boss now, isn't she?
She is. New news.
Yeah.
She'll be. Isn't Massa racing in there?
Yep. I don't know if he's racing for Venturi, but he's racing in Formula E next year.
So's Rosberg, isn't he?
No, he was just doing. We've been through this. And you were utterly convinced it was super breaking news.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's going to be in a car next year.
No.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's done He's done some test days, some demonstration. He's done some demo days, and he's bought,
be in a car, mate.
He's bought a team.
He hasn't bought a team, mate. He's racing for one. He's bought it so he can race it because no one else would want him in there.
He's put an interest. He's building electric cars, by the way. He's got a company for building electric cars. Yeah, that's.
I wouldn't buy those if you paid me with pure crack cocaine.
Really?
No.
Okay. I mean, I feel like I wouldn't buy anything if someone offered me crack cocaine. That's not an incentive.
Is it not?
What, someone comes up and offers you crack cocaine? You're just going to start buying shit. So not only have you then got cocaine, you've then got to go and pay money for stuff. That's a bad deal.
Bad deal and a bad miss and a bad way to end the podcast.
What a podcast it's been. Also, let us know if you do want to see a ramble podcast. We might.
Or if you'd like to see pictures of Claire Williams in less clothing.
No. Right. That is it.
Predictions. Austria predictions.
Yeah. Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Valtteri Bottas.
Danny Ricciardo, Verstappen, Vettel.
Red Bull 1-2. You're mad, bro.
Red Bull 1-2.
You're mad,
Red Bull 1-2.
bro.
Also, just moving on, because I know Jamie forgot, and also I did. If you did the...
oh, God. Fantasy.
Yes, the fantasy. Something happened. Good job. Someone's probably still in the lead, most likely me. There's also some people that follow me. That's about all we need to touch on it. We'll touch on it more next week.
No, we'll do a couple of minutes.
No, we're not. This is an end. We're shooting the dog. It's too old. Kill it now before it breeds.
So Rage is still first, but the gap has closed quite dramatically to Yazbrug in second. There is just 6 points between them now.
What?
Yeah. Yazbrug's had a stunning 222 points from his weekend. Sainz, Hamilton, Ricciardo, turbo driver of Hulkenberg, Magnussen and Red Bull gets him what must be the highest score of the championship so far. Papaya Orange Formula 1 team Connor is in third, around 40 points behind. Fox
is this the official one?
No, this is ours.
I know, but is it actually official?
What, the fantasy?
This site, fantasy.formula1.com.
Yeah, this is done by Formula 1 management.
That's why I wasn't sure.
Yeah. This was this is what made I wanted to do it at the beginning of the season, but I forgot. And then when they brought this out, and it was perfect because it was after I'd forgotten about starting it. But it was
Jesus Christ, he is close, isn't he?
Yeah, he's right in there, just 6 points behind. Fox has moved up to This needs like little arrows. This needs better graphics from week to week.
It does.
To help me out.
It's because a couple of my turbo drivers didn't do very well.
Okay, was that what it is? What Rage done? 160. It's still pretty good, to be fair. It's higher than your last couple of weeks, I think. But it's Yazbrug that's really sprung a surprise there. Then it's Mirik in 5th, 699. Then it's the Can't Be Asked to Change crew of Sawyer F, TKM Sport and myself in joint 6th on 681. It's 110 points off the lead now. We can do it, boys. Dav Race in 9th and Pow 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 in 10th. And congratulations to all 19 of you for continuing. I mean, you've just signed up, to be honest. I've noticed quite a few people aren't changing. But hey, look, you're all in it to win it. And we will get some t-shirt designs out. Maybe after the triple header. So you know your prize. Right, thank you for reminding me for that, because I completely forgot. We shall wrap it up. As always, thank you everybody for watching. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe.
You can only change one driver per race.
Yep. Or the wild card, which you can change all drivers once per season. Cool. Can we?
I'm not sure I want him as my turbo driver.
I think turbo you can change every race.
It doesn't. It won't let me. Won't let me change it.
Okay. Is this really a conversation we need to be having during this stupidly long podcast?
Don't you worry.
Cool.
Don't you worry.
Cool.
You can't have Hamilton or Ricciardo as your turbo drivers.
No, they have to be under 20 million.
Science it is.
See ya.
Jeff tastes rather good if you fry him on a barbecue with a bit of salt sprinkled over the toes.
Salted Jeff.